Like, it was a podcast called Tequila and the Tea. And I was just like, I just want to talk to people.
Yeah.
It also was an idea that came to my head during COVID. So obviously, like, all I wanted to do, I was like, I'm bored.
Yeah, that's exactly how I found podcasting as well. It was something that like I had to take this construction job because, the world was shut down and there's nowhere to work. So I found Joe Rogan podcast like every first time podcaster does. And I was like, okay, well, I get it's 3 hours long. It covers my whole first part of my shift. Perfect. And like found myself listening every single day, getting all this information. And like most of the time I didn't know what the hell they were talking about, but I always found some piece of value that like made my day a little bit better. I was like, oh, there's some magic in that. Like, what if I could do that? And here we are.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Totally understand the kind of the same concept. I mean, no, that's a lie. It's not the same concept for me. Value thing, yes. But when I came to mine, it was like, I I still love it, but I don't like making the content anymore. But I love baseball so much. So like, and there was a lot of baseball podcasts out there, but it was all men oriented and there was no woman's voice. And I was like, I can do that. Except the problem is I talk like a dude and I curse like a sailor. So it didn't like help any case because everybody's just like, yeah, but, and it's that like not demeaning, or maybe it is the demeaning tone of men being like, well, you're a woman, you're not supposed to curse and you're not supposed to. I was like, fuck that. I'm a New Yorker. You can't tell me what to do. I was like, I'm a Sicilian woman and a New Yorker, and you think you could tell me what to do?
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck.
You were born swearing. Like there's no fixing that.
My grandmother, the funniest part is though, but my Sicilian grandmother hates how much I curse, and she's like, get it together. And I'm like, look, woman. No.
But teach me how to cook, okay? Because like I bet she's a bomb cook.
The best. She actually taught me her sauce recipe, which is like, the most important thing to learn. And I have it down pat. Like I did it for Christmas this year. And I was like, am I going to screw it up? And am I going to screw it up? It was perfect. And I think it's beginner's luck. So now I'm scared to make it a second time.
Yeah, I would be too, especially for her.
Yeah, I know. My God, I didn't make it for them. Oh my God.
Oh, my bad. Not trying to put you.
You're fine. I think, did I have them? I don't remember. I really don't. That's really bad. That was only a month ago.
Yeah. I have a 9-month-old or 10-month-old child now. So like, you could have told me that was Monday. I would have believed you. Like wholeheartedly. Be like, all right, I guess I'm going to work and I have this to do. Don't even look anymore.
Like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was reading through your bio a little bit before we got started, and I think something that you have done that is very different from the rest of my guests here is you're kind of taking a step back from entrepreneurship and kind of settling into a career. Settling is not the right word. I didn't mean to use that word. But
you're fine.
Coming back into it. Can you tell me a little bit about that decision and what that journey has been like?
I don't even know what I wrote in my bio. I'm really bad at bios. Everyone's like, something could have changed by the time I wrote that to now. But when it comes to the whole stepping back from entrepreneurship, it's just like I am one at heart. Like it's something that I hate working for someone else. But the funniest part is like as an entrepreneur, you end up working for someone else no matter what, because you're working for the client. And I recently have been dealing with, and dealt with, past tense, like the most atrocious human beings. And I'm like, I don't deal with this. I don't have to deal with this kind of situation. Like I'm good. I'm done. So I kind of like fired my own, two or three of my own clients. Cause I was like, no, like I bend over backwards for people. I go above and beyond. I go beyond the scope of like even the contracts that are written. Like, I say, I'm trying to think of something. Say I was supposed to only do 2 things, but I would do 5. Like I didn't care because like I wanted to make the client feel special. I wanted them to keep coming back. I wanted them to eventually raise and pay me more. The whole shebang. And it's just so freaking tedious. And I felt like I was begging. And then I also felt like I was losing my own self in it because like I ended up falling into podcast management. It wasn't what I wanted to do. Um Again, starting my podcast with Danny's Dugout, baseball, my love, whatever. Like I just fell into this world that I didn't mean to fall into. And then I got House of Hallowell as a client, and that was like, 6-year-old me dream come true. I'm working for Holly Marie Combs and Drew Fuller and Brian Krause. Like this is absolutely insane. And then they went to iHeart and I was sad. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, damn, busted. I still take care of like their merchandise for them, which is why I wear I'm wearing the hoodie. Like
I
I
was gonna say
always,
I recognize that hoodie.
yeah. This is actually like the original one that me and Drew were working up. So this is the first one that was ever made. No,
Nice.
I gave that one to Drew. This is I don't know. I had like 2 made.
So cool. My wife's
So
shirt is gonna freak out. She's watching Charmed in the other room right now with our baby and dogs.
I understand because it's pretty much my background show, except right now it's supernatural because my friend's like, just watch it. And I was like, fine. So now I'm on like season 12 and I'm like, God, how many seasons are there? I was like, what me back to Charmed. Okay, I miss Cole. It's funny, like I've turned into a big reader recently. We'll revert back to the whole entrepreneurship. I have ADHD, so I just go
Me
on
too.
tangent. But I've fallen in love with like these morally gray characters, and everybody's just like, what happened? And all of like the young girls like my age are like, oh, it's from Damon Salvatore from whatever. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's from Cole freaking Turner, okay? It's from that guy. All right, Julian McMahon screwed us all up.
Oh my goodness. When did you get yourself back into reading? Or into reading in the first place?
This book right here, Fourth Wing. It's by Rebecca Yarros. It's basically about a girl with EDS, and she has to go and become a dragon rider, or she's gonna die. It's what's their main thing? A dragon without a rider is a tragedy. A rider without a dragon is dead. And my friend called me up, and she is the only person that knows like what I'll read, what I like to read, that kind of stuff. And I hate reading. I'm dyslexic. I hate it. It takes me like what would take somebody a day to read takes me 3 weeks. Like I hate reading because I feel stupid when I'm doing it. And she's like, just read the book, Dani. And she's like, there's dragons. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll read the book. And I read it and I couldn't put it down. Like I ended up this is not how I gave myself vertigo. I was sick and I got vertigo and I've suffered from it for years. So every once in a while it comes back. And I was on the second book and I was crying and my boyfriend's like, are you okay? What's wrong with going on? I was like, I can't read the book. I was like, so can't read the book, but I have to read the book. I need to know what happened. And he's like, are you crying right now? And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. It was so bad. But yeah, that's how I got back into reading. And I haven't it's like I found this genre that I love to read and I just don't want to put it down. So romantasy is what it is, and that's what it
what
is.
my wife reads. And the vertigo thing is crazy. I literally had to take her to the hospital yesterday for vertigo. First time
Really?
ever experiencing it. Yeah, we're
It's
literally
crazy.
I had to go pick up the prescriptions 5 minutes before I hopped on here.
Oh wow.
So like we just started experiencing this. It
It's
and she just started reading again like the last 2 weeks. I found an old iPad that I had and downloaded all of her books onto
aw.
it. She's been having a hard time, reading at night. We're always trying to read in the dark because baby's asleep or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here's the iPad. So I can't get a hold of her nowadays. She's just locked on, but she's like almost like fading off because she's getting this vertigo spells. And
Mhm.
yesterday she was like, I have to go to the hospital. There's something seriously wrong. And they're like, okay, yeah, we see what's up. They hooked her up to an IV, gave her some fluids. It's like, you need to see an ear doctor like now.
Yeah.
So that's so
It
crazy.
sucks.
Yeah. What did they do to fix yours? Like, did you just give you some
Oh
meds?
no,
And
I like don't get me started on the medical industry. I just want to kill them all,
oh,
even though
it's
my
so
boyfriend's gonna be a
broken.
nurse. And my uncle's a trauma surgeon, my cousin's a nurse, my other cousin's going to be a doc dent dental surgeon. My boyfriend is working to become a CRNA. I'm surrounded by them, but I absolutely hate the medical industry more than anything
Yeah,
else in this world.
it's
And
broken.
like, oh God, it's terrible. But like the woman was just like, "You have vertigo. Here, take this. It'll go away." And I'm like, "Okay, thanks." It doesn't go away every once in a, but like mine's different. Like I suffer from migraines. So it can trigger like the three, because I get ocular migraines, then I'll have vertigo, and then I'll just get a migraine. And it just turns into like this whole clusterfuck, basically.
Yeah.
And I end up, my closet's like right in front of me. So I end up right in there in the darkest room in the house, and then the world's spinning. And I'm like, well, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
It's
Eight
like,
hours
fuck it.
later, you come back like nothing ever happened.
No, 8 hours later, I can listen to things again, but I have to
Oh
have
wow.
sunglasses on.
Oh wow. Oh,
Like I know it's, but like mine are like really, really bad. My light sensitivity is like the absolute worst.
yeah,
So
that's what
like
I get really bad too.
yeah, so you'll
Um,
find me if I have a migraine going on, I'll have like the hoodie over the head, the hat over whatever, sunglasses on, and everybody's just like, okay, Gollum, or not Gollum. What's the guy? Um, my God, Darth Maul, what are you doing? And I'm
yeah.
like, I have a migraine. Like my boss the other day at work was just like, what's wrong with you? Why are all the lights off? And I was like, do you want me to be at work or do you want me to be at home? Which one do you want? And he's like, got it, understood. You have a migraine. I'm gonna go over here. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't yell at me. It's not my fault.
Thank you. And
That's
my
that's
boss is actually amazing. I adore that man more than anything. Like he I work at a bank now. Back to the whole entrepreneurship. I work at a bank now. And like because I work at a bank, I now own my condo. Like I have opportunities
nice.
that I didn't have to like have before. And then I was like, I want a fucking puppy, but I can't have a puppy unless you let me bring it to work. And he looked at me and goes, I bring my dog to work. Why would I tell you that you can't bring yours? And I was like, great, deal. Sold. Okay. So
That
I get to
seems
bring
like a
my
very
dog to work.
reasonable boss. You don't I
Oh,
don't
he's
have
great. He's a pain in my ass.
well,
And we fight like cats and dogs. Like we get at each other. And it's funny because like I work for the CEO of the bank. And everybody goes, did you just tell your boss to go fuck himself? And I'm like, he's pissing me off. You can't do that. I'm going, he just told me to go fuck myself. I think we're
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's big. Like he's from Chicago. I'm from New York. I was like, it's just a personality thing. It's fine. It's no big deal. Like we'll
Yeah,
be
if you
okay.
like I worked in sales for a long time and like the first 15 minutes of getting somebody like on a call, on a conversation with that, like my
It's the worst.
goal, my rule of thumb was to get them to swear. If I can get you to swear, then I've won the conversation. And that means we're cool now.
Now we're friends.
Yeah, and now we're friends that I can say whatever I want. And sometimes like people would barge my calls or like listen in on my calls and they'd like message me like, "Did you really just say that? Did you just call that cop a pussy?" I'm like, "Yeah. He said he's afraid to buy this thing, yet he's a cop. He's being a pussy." Honey, he bought.
But if you don't get to the real core of the person, you can't make a sale with the person. It's just not gonna
Right.
happen. Like
Well,
if you
it's
can't
keep
be
me a
you,
friend.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, we're reverting back. Oh, entrepreneurship. Trying to like not do my whole ADHD spiel, but it's just happening and like
Yeah. You're a
as
pro
normal.
though. You keep
Uh,
going back to it. Like you're making my job real
like
easy here.
I have to, otherwise it's just like fuck. Like there was a main question here. So like again, I fell into it, got House to Hallowell, and I just I don't know. I was just like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing now. And like I would bring in more clients, and most of them were just like mostly social media based, and like I would just take care of people's Instagrams, businesses, and stuff like that. And eventually, it just got to a point where I was going, I am not creatively satisfied, and I'm a creative. That is who I am at heart. I make candles. Like everything of a hobby has always been turned into a job somehow because, like, my brother's also an entrepreneur. My father's an entrepreneur. I can't speak. Um, and Like, my brother would take one of my hobbies and he's like, "How do we sell it?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just want to make candles, man. I don't really care." And then a friend of mine calls me the other day and they're just like, "I want to sell your candles. Just make them." And I'm like, "You know what? Fuck it. Like, screw it. Sure. I'll make the damn candles. It's no big deal." And then like, so like thing kind of just gets thrown at me and I go, "Yeah, sure. Whatever. Like, if I can make a buck off of it, I'll do it." Cause like the economy sucks. So I don't know. Recently, I'm just going, God, I don't like, don't get me wrong. I want to stay in an entrepreneurial factor, but like, I want to do it where it's like me and that's it. And I'm not working for somebody else. And by falling in love with reading, I fell in love with writing again. And being dyslexic, it's very freaking hard. Uh, Dialogue, got it down. Detail, I don't. But again, that's because like I have to formulate these words and then all of a sudden it's conjumbled and it like becomes a mess. But if I have to be an entrepreneur, I want to be an entrepreneur in the sense of creativity, of art. And my writing is now kind of where I've found that in it, like found that. So like I'll keep working at the bank. I'll keep like doing that as a steady, you know, day to day because writing's not like I pick everything that it's like you want to fall into the 1%. We'll see if you could do it. Um, so I just I don't know. I'm so tired of working for a client. It doesn't feed my heart, my soul. And I've gotten to this point as I continue to age, unfortunately, which sucks. Um, I I don't want to deal with anybody else's crap. Like you want to be miserable, you be miserable in your own stand. Like I don't want to deal with it. Like you don't pay me enough for me to deal with this. So I'm not
Right.
doing it. If you paid me a lot of money, I'd be like, all right, fine, yeah, I'll deal with it. Like it's no big deal. Like I could deal with your craziness for that. But it where I'm at in Florida, like social media isn't like it was in New York, where you are doing like it is a full-time job. And people here don't see that like they do in New York. So they don't pay for it like they do it up there. And you can prove like, hey, I did all of this for this client, and this is why I deserve this amount. But they're gonna be like, you're just posting pictures on Instagram. Like, no, you don't deserve it. And that's something that I just couldn't mentally get past because it would just piss me off. And my anger
Yeah.
gets the best of me. Again, Sicilian New Yorker, can't help it. Um, so I just really want to just leave it behind, leave it alone, let it die. If I do this candle thing with my friend, I just get to be creative. I don't have to worry about the selling, the business, any of that. He just literally wants me to be in like a factory just pouring things. I'm like, that sounds so much better to me. My little chemist formula, I got it. I'm okay with that. And I'm not like working for him. I'm still working for me and I get to be creative. So like it's so much better that way. And then again with writing, like I get to come up with the world in my head. I get to write it. Nobody's gonna tell me what to do. So that's kind of where I've like left. Like I'm tired of dealing with clients. I'm tired of dealing with like a, a boss, except for my boss at the bank. He's great. So that's basically how I've transitioned. And I think I answered your question. Now I'm just rambling.
Yeah. No, it's so relatable because like I've run a few different agencies now. I fell into podcast management. I didn't initially want to do this. Actually, I started it, ran it up, and was happy with it. My first podcast hit the top 100 charts. I was like, sweet, this is awesome. Realized I
Mhm.
hated working with podcasters. Hate it. So dramatic. Everything, every little detail needs to be perfect. Blah, 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 blah. So I got out of it and started an advertising agency for contractors. I had a little bit of contracting experience. I had marketing experience. Marry the two. Oh
Right.
my goodness, are these big, burly men more complainy than podcasters are? And I was like, I can't do this with you people anymore. Like, they would go spend like $200,000 on a brand new truck they won't need, but when it comes to $5,000 in advertising, they'd cry about it.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, I can't with you
And
people.
advertising is the bread and butter of like the world right now. Like you need
Right.
advertising. You need to put out like you need PR, all of this crap. Like if you don't have it, nobody knows who you are. If you aren't
Right.
an ad on Google or on Instagram or TikTok, I don't care what it is. No one knows who you are. And
Right.
that you're not going to sell any of your stuff. You're not going to get anything that you need. No one's going to buy your product or your service. Like, I hate when
Yep.
people don't understand advertising. It's like, no, you need it, unfortunately. Like, how do you think
Yeah,
anybody's going
and
to
it's
know your name?
expensive, and
Yes,
it's not a
it's
magic
not
pill.
easy. I'm not sitting here for 5 seconds, like typing about a computer. Like, this takes hours, and then I've got to do this, and then yeah, it might be up, but you have to pay. Like, this is a weird way of explaining it, but we talked about the medical industry, so it came into my head. You don't like when you have to pay the $300 for the freaking pill. It's not the fact that the pill now, like, yeah, it costs $3 to make it, but it took decades of
Yeah.
like research and people that they had to pay to get here, and now they're trying to pay off the debt that
Yep.
they're in. So they're really like, I mean, now there's certain ones that are just making way too much money. That's a different story. But like, there's a reason. Like,
Right.
it's a
It
backlog of what you're paying for.
yeah,
Sorry,
and
I
it's
get on
so
rants when it comes to
broken.
that shit.
No, no, you're so right. You're so right. So I shut that down. And as I was like shutting down and firing all my clients, saying I'm not dealing with your shit anymore, the podcast that I'm currently producing, Dr. Randy, reached out to me. He is the best person I've ever worked with my entire life. We have not spoken on the phone in probably 3 months. He pays his bill on time. His show goes out every Monday. We never have to talk, and he's happy.
That's a
And
backlog.
I'm like, okay, where do I get more of you? And what I've
Yeah.
learned is there isn't any more of him. I found
No.
only one.
No, you might be able to find maybe two more, and that's it. But it's like you got to dig through a pot to find them.
Yeah.
Like
And what's
every
great about him too is he loves podcasting, which is what I found is like podcasts got sold as like this advertising tactic the last 3 years. And a podcast is not meant to be sold to somebody. Like it's not the same as a YouTube channel, which I just had this big conversation with one of my now clients. Wanted to get his YouTube channel back up and running, and he wants to do it with a podcast. I was like, bro, listen, when somebody sits down to watch your YouTube channel, what do you think they're doing? He's like, oh, well, they're probably sitting at their desk. Maybe they have a pen and pad. I was like, exactly. That's what your stuff is for. What do you think somebody's doing when they're listening to a podcast? He's like, well, they're like driving or doing laundry. I'm like, exactly. Why are you trying to sell somebody that's not really paying attention to you right now? Like, this is to have a conversation, and he could not connect those. So I'm like, I already know you're going to be a problem for me because, like, you're not going to get hundreds of thousands of views in a first couple of days, first couple of episodes. And he doesn't actually love podcasting, he loves money.
right. I mean, I understand.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. But
But
like,
if
this
you're
isn't
just
the
trying to do
thing.
it for a cash grab, like that's not how this works. Like
It's not how it works.
it's a slow build. Like if you don't already have a name, it's a baby build. Like
It is.
so
It is.
yeah.
So I finally come to the realization that like luckily I'm well set up now where I'm just going to focus on this show. I run my one other show and we're just going to put everything into this. And try to find some cool guests and cool conversations. And if we make some money, awesome. And if not, we'll figure it out.
As long as you're having fun, in my head, that's usually all that matters. And like you can, afford life.
Yeah. Yes. Obviously, like we have to be able to take care of ourselves, but people just haven't figured that out. I'm really interested about this. You're dyslexic, and I am too, like severely. Um, didn't I haven't said this on this podcast yet. Didn't even fully learn to read, like fully, until I was into my 20s. Because nobody sat down and
And like
was patient with me. What I did to learn was I started turning on closed captioning when I was about 18 years old and started watching more TV and movies with the closed captioning on. That's what connected the dots for me. Now I'm an avid
interesting.
reader. Like I've read all of these books multiple times, and love reading. But to get over that hump and to get over the feeling of feeling stupid constantly, like reading
Mhm.
aloud, oh my God, it's my worst fear.
Yep. Oh yeah. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Unless I wrote it. Nope.
Yeah. And even then, it's just because I've memorized it because my handwriting's so bad.
Correct. Correct. And that's why I said it. Only if I wrote it. I'm
Yeah.
not reading out loud somebody else's thing, or unless I've already memorized it because I've read it 6 times.
Yeah.
So it's the question: how did I
like what was, I mean, how did you kind of conquer that? Because it's been the hardest thing I've probably ever dealt with myself. Especially being a creative, being a writer, wanting to
Mhm,
learn how to read, running businesses. Like
mhm.
how did you find yourself getting yourself to be an avid reader?
Well, I'm 31 now. I didn't start avidly reading until last year, so
Okay.
that's
You're
there's
right
that.
there with me.
But like no, like I've always been able to read. I just didn't like it because it's scared. Like it just like for example, the other day my friend like wrote up a contract and she had me look it over because like, business brain. So I'm like, you
Mhm.
need to make sure that this is in there, this is in there. And I'm reading it and she reads really fast. And I'm reading it and she's just like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I read really slow." And like and it's like that trigger where I'm just like, "I read really slow." And like I was kind of angry with it. And she's like,
Yeah,
"I'm
just
sorry." And I
yeah.
was like, "No, no, 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 no. It's not your fault. Like it's just like a trigger kind of point for me because like I'm dyslexic, so I read slow, and if I don't, like, then the words are gonna be back and forth, like, I have to just deal with it. But I was extremely lucky. My father and my mother knew that there was something wrong, when I was really young. I was always writing backwards, those stupid fucking B, Ds, Qs, and Ps. Ugh.
Ah,
But they're, so, like, my dad says if he has dyslexia, my grandfather has, like, some form of ADD that we just, like, "You're just old, whatever, it's no big deal." But my dad always was like, "I have dyslexia, I have dyslexia, I have dyslexia." He's never been diagnosed. I also have not been diagnosed. We went to the whole nightmare. Well, fuck it, we'll get into it. So, when I was a kid, I moved schools from one to another, and when we got to the second school, I was in 5th grade, and I have to say that teacher, and I love her to this day. If I could find her and send her like a gift basket, I would. I've actually tried to find her and I couldn't find her. But Mrs. Card, love her to pieces. She and the aide, because I had an aide, just worked and worked to help me get over this hump. They made it so that way I could type instead of write. And that helped me kind of like differentiate letters. They she she did like she would research, like my aide would go home and research and study how to help with dyslexia for kids. And she found that, you remember those dividers in the binder, but you could still see through them.
yeah,
Well,
the
she
colored
found,
ones.
yeah, the color one. So
Yeah.
like she found that if you put a yellow, like, see through whatever over the page, that you might not mess up the words as much. So like we
Yeah.
avidly did this. And the reason why I don't have like a New York accent unless I'm angry is because I was basically in speech class. I remember I igloo o octopus a apple like I had to learn each letter and the sound of it out, make sure that I had it correctly. And it is literally because of them that I never like, I got over it to a degree, like, it didn't affect me so much going further in life, but, I didn't get over the whole reading thing until I got much older. Like, just obviously till, like, last year because I was just like, "Fuck that shit, no." I feel
Yeah.
stupid, like, I hate reading, and I've tried a couple times before. I read The City of Bones by Claire, whatever her name is. I read that series and I got into it, but I never picked up another book after that. Oh, I read Hunger Games. That's it. Like I was like,
Yeah,
I have to
read
do
that
this.
too.
I stopped at Mockingjay though. I never read Mockingjay. So like there was moments in time where I would pick it up, but again, I read so slowly that it just bothered me. And it is I give it to those teachers for really like working with me and getting in there and figuring it out. And then I moved again from upstate New York to Long Island, and my dad wasn't with us. My dad stayed upstate. We went to whatever, it doesn't matter. So I didn't have like that cheerleader there. So my mom brought me to a neurologist. The neurologist had me because the school was like, we're not paying for, like, if you have dyslexia, they have to pay for more aid. Where if you have ADHD, you just get a pill. and then they don't have to pay as much for me. So basically, I went to a neurologist. They're like, she doesn't have dyslexia, she has ADHD. The problem with the two, and I've learned this going forward because I was so pissed off and I was like, no, I was mad. I didn't want to have ADHD. I definitely have it, but I didn't want to have it. The two are so similar. So similar. Literally to the T. The only thing is it's because you go too fast that you misinterpret the words. Well, I don't go too fast. I go really slow and I still misinterpret the words. So I was like, I don't buy this test. Like, yeah, okay, maybe I do have ADHD, but at the end of the day, like the word is still, I'm writing backwards. How can you sit here and tell me that I don't have dysgraphia when I'm literally writing backwards? I wrote a whole paper in 9th or 10th grade backwards because we were reading A Curious Case of the Dog in the Nighttime, and it's about an autistic kid who has dyslexia. And I wrote it in his point of view. I don't even remember what I wrote. I just wrote a page and I handed it to my teacher and I was like, here you go. He's like, Dani, I can't read this. I'm like, yeah, well, I wrote it in his point of view. He's dyslexic like me. Boom, got an A.
Brilliant.
So like,
Yeah, I wouldn't even have read it. I'd be like, that's so smart.
that was pretty much what he did.
Yeah.
He was also really cool. Definitely the biggest stoner I ever had as a teacher. He came in on 420 once and he was blitz. He skipped over. He's like, we're just gonna read today, and he skipped over like a whole page, and we're like, dude, you gotta go back. He skipped over. We're all half of the class is stoned as well with him, but they can't say anything obviously because we're kids. And then the other half of the class is like, you just skipped over a page, bro. And like all of us are it was so good. It was so good. But yeah, that's kind of how I moved past it. And then when it got to like last year, I was just like, no, we're doing this. Like if once I put my mind to something, it happens. And then it is also because of like the way that Rebecca Yarros writes. Like it's so enticing, and I felt like I have a very vivid imagination. Like it's kind of it kind of scares me at times because I'm like, whoa, is that reality? And I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. We're not there.
Yeah. That's part of being dyslexic. It heightens your imagination. It does like all these weird things. I had this horrible girlfriend that put me on display in one of her like mental classes she was taking in college, and literally had me come in, and I didn't know, to do this presentation on dyslexia. And then they had people ask me questions about it. I was like, listen, like I am not a pet or a person at the zoo.
Nor are you. Wow.
But I learned a lot about dyslexia, so that part was cool. That's what I took from it, is that I learned all these weird things like pattern recognition, something that dyslexic people are like amazing at. We might not be able to read, but we'll pick up the words on the page and put together a story. It might not be the right story, but it's a story.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Like, oh, what? That's not what you were saying? My bad. Well, yeah, I think it's this. I think this story is better than yours.
I've had that argument with so many people. Well, this is how it should be. Okay.
It would be so much better if this happened instead. Sorry. They kill that dad instead of that one.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. So you just kind of like set your mind to like, hey, you finally decided, hey, I'm doing this. I'm going to learn this.
I also needed something creative. So at the time I had just lost House of Hallowell to iHeartRadio. And I needed something like creative to like happen, I guess, in my life. And again, I found like my friend was like, read these. And I was like, okay. And I fell in love with them. And I'm like, why do I not have a fucking dragon? And I was like, and I had like this book hangover that they say. And I'm like, I feel like empty inside now because like this book was so good that I was like, okay, I guess I have to pick up another one and go into a different world. And I just did. And I just kept going. And I keep looking at my bookcase. It's right here.
It's pretty.
So I just kind of I don't know. I just did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's crazy. The ADHD versus dyslexia thing, they are so similar. And like, there's been so many times, like I'm considering getting my real estate license. So like I've talked to a couple brokers and things like that. And I was talking to my mom about it, which I love my mom to death, but she doesn't quite understand the relationship between ADHD and dyslexia. Because I'm diagnosed with both as well. So
Pretty
she's
much
like,
everybody is when it comes to it because it's so similar. Like they honestly can't even tell it apart. If you look at
yeah,
all of the symptoms side by side, you're just like, they're the same thing. It's like,
yeah. It's
yeah.
the
If you,
reading comprehension and like the
Mhm.
slowness. Like it'll take me a week to read 2 chapters.
Yep.
Unless I listen to it, then I can cruise through a book in 3 hours and be good to go.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but I was talking to her about it, and she's like, "Well, the classes are really intense. The reading's really difficult." I'm like, "Yeah, but as soon as I decide, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. It'll be done in half the time." Like that's
Yes.
the ADHD side of it. Like hyper focused. I'll go into like a manic 3 week episode, knock out the
Yep.
whole damn thing, and then be burned out for 2 weeks, but it'll be done.
But it'll be done. But the other thing that bothers me when it comes to ADHD is it's attention deficit disorder. It's not. It
No,
is not a deficit. It's an over. A, it's we have way too much because like my father will argue with me all the time because he doesn't want me to be. He doesn't want me to have it. You're dyslexic. I'm like, bro, it doesn't matter. Like it's not deficit. Like I don't have a deficit of attention. It's not that I'm bored. That's not the case. The problem is I'm too fixated on 15 things at one time that I can't put my focus into one thing. Like, I'm sorry, Timmy over here is kicking his leg, and Tammy over there is fucking twiddling her pen, and the teacher's over here is talking about some guy in a book, and then, oh God, the damn bird outside won't stop talking. Like, you have so many things happening
yeah,
that you can't pick where you're supposed to put your focus, even though you know it's supposed to be on the teacher, but all of these other things around you are happening and you're like, but the shiny, shiny, shiny.
yeah,
It really is that shiny thing, but it's just so much. And that's why there's like ADHD paralysis is when you have a laundry list of things to get done. Like today, it's happened to me. Like basically I couldn't do anything until this podcast
that's how
because
I
I was
am
like,
too.
nope. I did get some candles done, but like I was like, no, I can't do anything until this podcast. So like I want to clean my house. I want to do all this. I want to take care of other things. I got to take my dog for a walk. And like you see this laundry list of things that need to get done. And I just stare at it basically because I just think about all of it too much instead of just going one at a time. And it's funny if my boyfriend wasn't fixing the computer right now. He usually is the person to be like, hey, this one, focus here, do this. And I'm like, right, okay, that. And then at the end, I go, what am I doing next?
Yeah.
And then he goes, this, you're doing this next. And it's funny because I'll also get mad at him for doing that exact same thing because he'll be on his cleaning mode. And then he's like, I need to do this, this, and this. But if I'm already working on something, and I'm like, I've already got my list. I'm on my little
hmm
whatever. And then he tells me to do something, it throws the whole thing off. Because I'm like, that's not on my list. That wasn't a part of my list. And then I'll blow up on him.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
Yep.
oh God, I fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds very familiar.
Yes.
My wife and I, we like to plan our manic episodes. No, Saturday morning, I'm cleaning. I'm getting up at 6:30 like I normally do. I'm cleaning the house. That's what I'm gonna do. She is not doing shit until 10 a.m. and 3 cups of coffee in.
Mhm.
I'm like, just
Oh,
ignore me.
there is something. Wait, hold on. I have my little stuffed monkey, so don't mind that. I thought it was like a placebo effect, and it probably is, honestly. But have you seen like those ads for NeuroGum?
Yeah, I have.
This shit actually works. Like I pop
Really?
like one piece of that gum when I get to work, and I actually get like everything gets done. And every time I'm like, damn, this fucking shit actually works. Instead of like, because every like, oh, it has caffeine in it. Just have a cup of coffee, and I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like, I'll have a cup of coffee and just stare at the computer. But if I
Yeah, I would
take
too.
this, like, I'm getting it done. So try this. It
I'm
helps.
going to try that. I've had a few different people. Now they have those like what are they called? Nootropic pouches, like the nicotine pouches that everybody swears by. I'm like, I don't like the pouches. Like I don't use nicotine anymore. I don't want anything to bring me back into nicotine
Then yeah,
anymore. And like I like coffee, but also I'll like take a sip of coffee, set it down. It's cold before I'm back to it.
because you forget about it.
Dude, I forget about it. Yeah.
Dude, the amount of times that I've made tea and my boyfriend's like, "Did you forget about this?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, I did.
Oh yeah. I'll
Sorry."
even go to reheat it and it'll be in the microwave for 2 days. It- Like I'm like, oh
That's
shit, my bad.
it happen. This happens every single morning, but I have to feed I have to feed Tony, my dog, and I I always forget to put the food back in the fridge. always, until I'm walking out the door to go to work and I see it on the counter and I'm like, shit, put it back every single day without fail. Cause I'm like, I'm not going to forget it this time. Every time.
Yeah.
Forget it every time.
I just got yelled at for this. I'm mashing peas. We have to make all of our babies food. So I always like steaming something and then mashing it together. I'll leave the bag of frozen vegetables on the counter every damn time. Every time. And my wife will catch it in there in a puddle. She's like, did you? Shit. Yep. That was me. My bad. Just order more. Yeah.
Wait, so you guys make your kids food?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Also great. It's actually great
than you thought. Like we just used like the NutriBlend thing,
Yeah.
and she didn't have teeth. Now she has a few teeth, so she's chewing. And then just the giant frozen vegetables that you can get from Walmart or Costco or anything like that.
Yeah.
Peel it apart or mash it. Give her a bowl. Takes 30 seconds.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, you make your own kids' food eventually, but I'm like 10 months old.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how babies work. I've had cousins and all that, but
okay. Yeah, we're learning it as we go. But like, we eat super clean. Like we went on a big health kick like a couple years back and just kind of rolled with it. So like, we don't eat fast food. We hardly eat out. My wife cooks every meal.
I'm the crazy person like that, and then my boyfriend's like, I just want Chick-fil-A, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, we switch off. Like yesterday, she wanted KFC so bad. She's like, I was sick all day. I had to go to the hospital. Like, can we get No, we cannot. I will make you food when we get back. We will be fine. And she always
not only that, it's just so much better for you. Like the crap that is in our food is insane. I keep begging my boyfriend. I'm like, can you finish school and then learn Italian and then we can move to Italy because their food system is just like I don't want to live in Europe. Like don't get me wrong. Like I am definitely pro America. I'm one of those. Like I love my country. I'm whatever. But as its faults. But I will move to Italy tomorrow if you told me I could. Like in 2.5 seconds, I'd be like, snap my fingers. I'm in Italy. Okay. I want the wine. I want the burrata. The prosciutto is like godly over there. I'm going to Italy in June and I'm just like salivating at the mouth, like so excited for the food.
Just want to be able to eat pasta and smoke cigarettes without getting fat.
Definitely not smoke cigarettes. I'm very, very anti-nicotine. I have too many people have died of cancer, but definitely want to just eat pasta all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, I do. I'm Italian, so I fucking do. But I don't have like there's not all the shit in it like there is here. You don't feel as like crappy.
Yeah. So through all of like your 20s, your teens, or anything like that, you never experimented with nicotine?
Oh no, I did. I'm not. Hello, I got shit faced and did something stupid all the time. Okay, I don't. No. But I didn't. I don't have an addictive personality. The only time that I had an addictive personality is my eating disorder. So like you could put something in front of me, I would try it, and then I would never pick it up again. Like I didn't care to have it again. The one time that I like would say I had a problem because it was just so easy was the fucking vape pens.
Yeah.
Because everyone has one, and I would be like, in my anger, I would just be like, give me that. And I would just smoke anybody's pen around me, and I would be like, okay, I'm fine. But it wasn't a need. It was a like, you're there, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then the vape pens, it was just like, you don't taste like a cigarette. Like I smoked a cigarette once, and I was like, this is fucking disgusting. What am I doing? What am I doing? And like, I just. But when it came to the pens, like they just taste like bananas or strawberries. And I'm like, this is delicious. Like, why am I not just doing this all the time?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was kind of the whole thing.
Yeah. Hitting a vape while driving. There's just like nothing like it. Smoking and driving, is like, we grew up. So like out here in Washington, weed's been legal since like 2015 or something like that. So like when we were in high school or just getting out of high school, like everybody would just roll around, windows down, smoke your joint, and like all of us. And I lived in a really small, wealthy town, so cops didn't give a shit. Nobody gave an absolute shit. So now like as soon like, and I'll still get craving, especially when I go snowboarding. I'm having a big ski trip planned next weekend, and like as soon as that snow hits what was that?
I have no idea.
As soon as that cold air hits me, I know I'm gonna be like, ooh, you know what would be nice right now? It's just that's more of like the whole experience as a whole, though, not like just
Yes.
a one particular thing.
It's because it's habit. It's something
Yeah,
that it's become habitual for you at the end of the day,
yeah.
and always smoking in the car is always something that's a habit because you get in, you light up whatever, and, like, they say to put, like, a bag of lollipops in your door and change it with,
Mm,
sucking on a
I can see
lollipop
that.
instead. Yeah.
I could totally see that. I don't like sugar things. That's another one of my weird I salty over sweet.
I totally
Potato
understand
chips,
that. What would be salty that you could just
like, sunflower seeds, were like, when I was quitting
there you
smoking
go.
and things like that, sunflower seeds were my go-to.
Yeah, it's
Um,
because it's just, like, the hand to mouth interaction that it's just
yeah.
so it becomes habitual.
Yeah, pistachios too.
Oh my
Bag of
god, they're
pistachios
so
over
good.
here. They're so
Love this.
good. They're the best snack. I could live on those things.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Where did your love for baseball come from?
My grandfather and my father and my mother. Like, baseball, I'm a New Yorker, okay? There's one thing about New Yorkers is we love baseball because we've had the Yankees our whole lives. So, like,
Yeah.
you can't
Best
not
team
love
on earth.
baseball. Yeah. Well, I've seen 5 World Series since I've been alive. I've watched them win 5 rings, except not one of them I was 3, so it doesn't really count, but, like, the other ones I remember. So, like, my grandfather is a crazy Yankee fan, and when you grow up, they say you could be whatever fan of any sports team you want, except for baseball, you have to be a Yankee fan. If you're not a Yankee fan, you're disowned. Like, that was kind of just how it was in my house, and I'm the first female in my family after 40 years, and they didn't really know what to do with me, which is why I became the tomboy that I am, and my mom's basically a tomboy too, but, uh, they just didn't know what to do with me, and I wanted to be, like, my grandpa's buddy. So I went into his office one day and there is Mickey Mantle memorabilia everywhere, Yankee, everything, whatever. And of course, downstairs, grandpa is yelling at the television screen because it's summer. So I'm visiting them. And I'm like, why is he yelling at the TV? Now, this is a point in time where I had just realized that the TV isn't like something that's happening right. Like, people can't hear you when you're talking to it. I had finally learned what television was. Like, when you're watching a TV show and you're like, "Oh, they just live acted it all out 5 seconds ago, and then it turned it off, and then they take" like, I just figured it my mom had finally just explained it to me. So I go downstairs and I'm talking to grandpa, I'm like, "Grandpa, they can't hear you. That's a TV. They can't hear what you're saying, grandpa." And he pulls me on his lap and he sits me down and he looks at me, he's like, "You're gonna learn one thing." He's like, "Anytime the Yankees are on and you yell at them, they can hear you." And I was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Only when it's the Yankees." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I started yelling at the TV with him. And that turned me into the psychopath I am today. And if there is a Yankee game on, I am fucking yelling at the television. I am telling Aaron Judge to get his goddamn ass onto the fucking base during a playoff game. And I'm like, hold on a second. So you can hit 62 home runs all season long. But when we get to the playoffs, when we actually need you to, like, show up, do your job, you can't do a damn thing. You can't even play basic. See, look at me. I'm getting all riled up right now. Like, I'm still so pissed off about the World Series because I'm sitting there and, like, I had stopped doing Danny's Dugout, but I've still been, like, posting it on social media and stuff like that, and, like, still doing my rants because that's what everybody wanted, was just me ranting.
Yeah.
And I I remember, like, us getting to the World Series being like, "How? How are we here?" Like, it's like the AL East and all of the AL was just like, "Yeah, here you go, you guys can have it," because everybody just didn't know how to play fundamental baseball in any capacity. It was crazy, and, like, I'm just staring going, "How are we here?" And then I'm like, "Well, the Dodgers are gonna win." Like, there's no if or and or but in my head. Like, I know the Dodgers are gonna win because they're killing it. Like, they're playing actual baseball. And then us over here is like, we can't even fucking catch a fly ball. So I was a menace to society. I was screaming. My boyfriend was just like, "I don't know how to handle this because I've never seen the Yankees in the World Series with you before." I was like, "Bitch, I haven't seen the Yankees in the World Series in like 11 years, okay? Let alone with a boyfriend." I was like, "So welcome
Going
to my
through all the
psychoticness."
trials. Yeah.
Oh, and my poor puppy, he was just a puppy then too. So he was like 3 months old. And he's like, "Why is she yelling?"
Yeah, yeah. Why is she
Like,
so
why is
angry at
she
me?
screaming? And then he's like jumping on my lap, like, are we excited? And I'm like, no, we're yelling. Like, Judge is
Yeah,
pissing me off.
they can hear you.
Yeah, they
I,
can hear you. But so basically, my whole family is like diehard Yankee fans, and like we're kind of forced to love baseball.
yeah, I could
And I
totally
just
see
took it to the
you.
next level.
Yeah, yeah, I could totally see you from the hour that I've known you now, like being like a Yankees commentator or a journalist or some source. I could totally see that. I follow this girl on Instagram, Mally Mouse, which is basically just very similar personality to yourself, very outspoken, and she just goes on these crazy rants in front of her mirror about anything. Like she did a 10-minute rant on how they changed the Disney ride, the Haunted Mansion. And it
They
was
did?
yeah. Yeah, they changed it and made it more DEI.
I don't know what that means.
Diversity, inclusion, and whatever.
Look,
Yeah.
I hate the world we live in today. It's just like, just get
Yeah,
over it.
me
Like,
too.
I get it, but like, you can't eat, like, you're erasing the past, trying to create something that's supposed to be better. No, just make something new. Stop
Yeah,
fucking with the old shit and just make
right.
something else. It's really not
Yeah.
difficult. And like, it's what irritates me. Right? Sorry. Like, see, I'll get on a rant
No,
right
let's
there. It's
go.
just
Let's
because
go.
like, it's like, I understand inclusivity. Duh. Like that
Sure.
I'm no. Yes, of
Yeah.
course, in every capacity. But like don't change it to include. Just like make something new. It's not
Sure.
hard. And like the one thing that irritated me the most during COVID, and it pissed me off because I like I love Aunt Jemima. Okay, like I love Aunt Jemima.
They
That
took
was
her
like
away.
they took her away. She was based on a real person,
Yeah, that was a
dude.
real
It
lady.
was just like this is racist, and I'm like, you're doing it like you're taking her away. You're taking like she was a real person. Like, why does nobody know history anymore? Like,
Yeah.
somebody needs to go back and read a book. Like, I was getting so mad. It was just about like you can't. Like, you're erasing real people, and that's incredible. Like, by trying to be inclusive, by trying to be like doing the right thing, you're doing the wrong thing. And I'm sitting back going, I didn't even get a bottle of Aunt Jemima before, like, and just so we could keep adding the purling milk. Like,
Like one drop of more.
I meant like I didn't have like there's no it's not even a woman anymore. It's just like this ugly bottle saying Purling Mill Company. I'm like,
Yeah.
still the same recipe, but it's not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah, they did that with so many different things, and so many bands had to like change their names,
Yeah.
all this for nothing, and
For
nobody talks about intentionality anymore. Nobody was intending to be racist. I
no.
mean, they just made something, and like that's what I don't get.
I grew up in the 90s, okay? I had the most raunchy, sucked up, crazy shit. Like if you remade anything that was pretty much done in the 90s, it's not happening. It's not
Yeah,
no one's making it in any capacity because it was fucked up, but it was funny and it wasn't ill-intended. It was just comedy.
funny.
It was thought. I get so like annoyed because like you get these Gen Z kids and I'm going, you know nothing of life. You know nothing of comedy. You sit down and shut up.
Yeah, just go
Stay
watch
away
some stuff.
from
Learn.
stay away from my thing. Don't ruin my stuff. I'm over this. I'm just
Yeah,
waiting for somebody to like remake The Breakfast Club or something in the 80s and I'm
no.
gonna come over and I'm gonna stab them. I'm gonna like don't you dare touch this perfect work of art, okay?
Yeah, y-
Leave it
yeah.
alone.
Yeah, I agree. They did that with so many things, and it's so irritating because especially in a lot of places, like you can't even talk about it.
No, you can't.
Um,
I mean,
and
technically, we
they
shouldn't
don't
be
do that.
talking about it's too faux pas right now to be talking about it
Bullshit.
here, but
Bullshit. Cancel me. Let's go.
I've been canceled multiple times already. So
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? I'm not
What'd
even
you get
I'm not
canceled
even
for?
anybody, and I've been canceled.
Yeah. Yeah. Feel it. Feel it. I was a DJ for a little while, actually for a really long while. It's how I made like a majority of money when I was a kid was I was a DJ. And
Mhm.
dude, every other day there was some stupid fucking story about something that was nobody true. It was like, you realize we have like 1,200 followers? Like no, why are you trying to cancel people?
But yeah,
It's so
like
silly.
relax. I can't. I growing up in the 90s, like I, I just wonder, I'm like, we're the last generation to have society without this.
Yeah.
We actually played outside. We had fun. We did things. And I remember getting into middle school and seeing like my little cousins, and I'm like, y'all are fucked.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
screwed. Like you don't go outside, you don't play. You're absorbed in these screens, and all you care about is somebody else's opinion. And I'm like, that sounds so miserable.
Yeah. I think
So
they're coming
miserable.
out of it though. Like I have an 11-year-old brother.
Mhm.
And he's like, he wants to start his streaming channel and he plays video games and things like that. But he just started to like he's been asking me and my dad, he's like, "Hey, like I think I want to play football. Like I think I'm ready to like get out of the house and go like do something." You know? I was like, "Oh, like there is like these kids do
There's
look
hope.
like that." Yeah. And it's like he's recognizing that, I have more energy. Like there's more to this behind the screen. And maybe it's because he plays like football video games and things like that. But
Yeah.
like I think this generation is gonna give a whole different set of diversity that we weren't
Well, that's
we didn't have to deal
he's
with.
11, so he's Gen Alpha,
Yeah.
which I
Is that
was
what they're
scared for
called?
them the most. Yeah, which
Yeah.
I was scared for them the most because like I have two Gen Alpha cousins, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I've been like, oh shit, like you guys are never gonna leave your room.
Yeah.
But I think since they've been exposed to it so much, like the next natural step is, oh, I see all this stuff on here. Let's go do it over there. I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
Fingers crossed
Um,
from your mouth to God's ears or whatever you believe in.
it doesn't really matter. Just please help them.
So, you that's why I always call it
Yeah.
the universe. I'm like, I have no fucking
I do
idea who
that.
you are.
I do that too. I do that too.
I have
I have
that.
it really figured out. Go ahead.
Where you go to where you decide
Ye-
to which
Yeah,
imaginary friend you want to hang out with.
that's exactly right. That's such a fair way to put it. Like I've
It's a
rejected
it's
religion.
a fucked up way of putting it, and I understand that, and I respect everyone's religion in every capacity because like they're like Christianity especially, like if I was to go back in time, there's two times that I would go back to. One, the 20s, because it just sounds like so much fun. I might go do it. And two, that fucking week when Jesus was put on the
Yeah,
cross. Like that guy changed the whole history of the world. So
yeah.
I want to know, like what
I just want to be there. Show you.
like in the background, like what's going on up here? Okay, with the Romans muck up, like
In your Yankees hat.
exactly,
Put it
yeah,
on.
I feel like with a watch on and be like, don't look at me, I'm from the future. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to know because like it's crazy where like religion comes from and like the beliefs that it comes from, and even like the Jews with the 8 nights and so on. Like I want to see all of it and be like, how did we get here to this,
Yeah.
to then like the Crusades and all of this nastiness? But it's just like, so I don't no hatred towards the whole me saying imaginary friend thing, but it's just more of a like there's so many religions out there. There's so many belief systems out there. And I am not atheist by any matter. I am very spiritual in every capacity. I just go, how do you know how are you so like sure to know which one is correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that's a struggle that I've been like battling with. Like, because you don't know. You don't know. And that's kind of the fun of
Yeah.
it. And if the
Yes. It's
like
the
you
faith.
don't get
That's
to
the faith.
decide. Yeah. And what
Yeah.
I've learned, if there's anything I've learned, I like literally I've read maybe like 2 books of the Bible, like
Hmm.
very little knowledge, never gone to church, always rejected it. And if there's one thing that I've learned about God, it's that he's kind of like that dickhead stepdad you never wanted, but he raised a good kid. And I'm like,
That's a
that's
great way of putting it,
yeah, like you never
especially for
wanted
the
this
Old
guy.
Testament.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm reading. But like if
Yeah,
there's
no,
anything I
he was
learned from
ruthless in the Old Testament. He was like,
he's kind of a
okay,
prick. Like I
got
always
him.
think of him as like Red Foreman from that '70s show.
Oh my
Total
God, I
asshole,
love
really
him.
grumpy. Yeah, but
Love him.
good father. Good
Great
father.
dad.
Total asshole.
Great dad.
Great dad.
Kitty was also hysterical. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I need to watch that 70 show now. I actually,
We put that on in the background all the time as well. That, Friends, Gilmore
yes,
Girls.
yes, yes, of course. The classics. The
Yeah, classics,
classics.
you know.
The
My kid will
classics.
be raised right.
Correct. All right. Old school Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Rocket Power's on YouTube, by the way. All of them.
Okay. Good to know. Thanks for that. Needed that. Loved Rocket Power.
Yeah, same.
That's how you know you ended up a stoner.
Yep.
I watched
Guilty
Scooby
as
Doo
charged.
and I watched Rocket Power.
Yep. Guilty as charged. Um, yeah. I don't remember what it was now. Now I just want to go watch Scooby Doo.
I feel that. I
How
understand.
long have you been married now?
I'm not.
Oh, you're
We've
not,
been
yeah.
dating. No, we're not. We've been dating for 3.5. If I don't have
Okay.
a ring soon, though, motherfucker. Just kidding.
Okay.
But
Well,
go ahead.
it's even more interesting to me. Because relationships right now are complicated. We live in a world where like everybody's trying to figure out what gender is. Everybody's trying to figure out all these things and like what's okay in a relationship and what's not. So like being in a long-term committed relationship, do you feel any sort of like societal pressure to act a certain way?
No, not in the
Why?
slightest. We're not. So my boyfriend's super duper Catholic. I am pagan, basically. I'm super witchy. So we already are fucked. Um, like the only pressure that is on us, and I say that really fucking loosely, is my timeline that I've created. And only because like I created it. And my boyfriend is younger than me. He's 23 and I'm 31. So he's 8 years younger than I am. And like he wants kids. We want all of these things in our lives for ourselves. And there's no pressure, but there is when it comes to a biological clock. And I refuse to have kids past the age of 35 based off of that, like my health.
Sure.
I suffered with an eating disorder. I have been told that it's going to be hard for me, and I don't want to fucking deal with any of that bullshit after 35 because it's just going to make it 10 times worse. So if there's any pressure, that's about it. But when it comes to society, um, they're all fucked up. I don't want to listen to any of them about how my relationship needs to be handled. I have watched so many relationships fail because they want to do something for somebody else and not for themselves. And him and I are very on the same page where it's just like, no, it's the two of us. And
Yep.
nobody else's influence matters. Like, yeah, we might go to somebody for advice or something like that, but at the end of the day, it's us. We sit down, we talk, we figure it out, and we move forward. Or we continue to talk until we figure out how to move forward. There's
Right.
no I'm a big fuck society. So no.
Cool. It's rare, especially since most of us do spend, 3 to 4 hours a day on social media, especially
Mhm.
when, like I know half my feed is like random marriage shit that I've never subscribed to, but it knows that since my wife and I talk all the time about different topics, it gives us things.
Yeah.
And it seems to be like her feed is constantly telling her like, hey, like don't let your husband put you in your place, don't let you do any of these things, and mine is constantly telling me the exact opposite. And what's crazy is if we stay off of our phones for a couple of days, both those things go away. And I'm like, wow, there is some real like pressure here on both sides for us to fight. And luckily,
I wouldn't say it's for you guys to fight. I would say that there is this in society, there is this not moral high ground, but there's this high ground that needs to be taken over. And women in the feminist movement have just fucking just gone batshit crazy. And where they're like, no, you have to be this and you have to be this and your husband have to this.
yeah,
And it's like, it's
yeah,
really not a bad thing that if you're like your husband comes home and you make him fucking dinner, that's not a horrible fucking like what is wrong with you to think that that's a bad
yes,
thing? It's not horrible to be a housemaker, to be a homemaker, to be any of those things. Like, God, why the fuck did any woman want to work? Sorry. But there gets to a point where like I love working, don't get me wrong, and if I don't work, I will go absolutely crazy. But like what is the problem with wanting to stay at home and take care of your
working a
kids?
job, like, I think that work word gets misused too, because, like, have you like, anybody that stays at home and takes care of
That's
kids and makes the
work.
house pretty holy shit, is it the hardest fucking thing you'll ever do.
The hardest fucking thing, because not only are
But
you doing that, you're navigating your husband's schedule as well. You're making sure
yeah,
that the dinner's taken care of. If you're homeschooling your kid, that's 10 times more work on top of that.
yep.
And how is that a bad thing? Why was that looked at badly? Those women, to me, fucking round of applause. I don't want to do that. That's crazy. But like,
Yeah.
you guys are the outstanding, to me, are outstanding. And then to like have this pressure of other women being like, no, you shouldn't do that for your man. Your man shouldn't do like whatever. No, you should do that for your man. You should definitely take care of your man. However, your man should be doing the exact same thing for you.
Right.
It is a cut, like it is a middle ground, but it is, hey, we figured out that this works best for us and this doesn't work best for us. Like right now,
Yep.
like I work, my boyfriend is in school, he's becoming a nurse at CRNA, and like that is his job. His job right now is to finish that because it is a very tough schooling situation. So, you know, I'm the one who comes home to dinner made. I'm the one who comes home to the clean house because he knows I like, you know, I'm working all day. He's doing work
Right.
all day, but he's at home doing work all day. So like it's a give and take. It's an ebb and a flow. And if you just keep taking and taking and taking and not giving anything, your relationship's gonna fail. It's gonna be over.
Right.
You're gonna fuck it up. You're not fuck it up. You're gonna be your own worst enemy and you're gonna be like, he was terrible to me. No, he wasn't. You're a fucking bitch. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I have like I get really when those things pop up on my page because they do. I just swipe right past, and all I want to do is comment like, "You sound like a
Mm,
miserable person. No wonder why you're not happy, and neither is your husband. Sorry,
yeah.
just you are." And then the men that also do that, and I'm like, "Dude, don't be a dick. Buy her flowers. It's not hard. Romance
Right.
isn't hard. Okay,
No, it's
men figure
very
out
simple.
romance. Okay, it's really not
Yeah.
hard. Okay, pick up one of her fucking spicy books because I guarantee you she has one. Read a chapter or two. You'll be fine. You'll figure it out. The long walks work. I don't know why, but they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not complicated.
It's not complicated. Hold
Really
her
not.
hand. Make sure she's snuggled. If you guys can't afford to do a damn thing, just make sure that you're fucking snuggling her on the couch the whole time.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
hard. Grab her by the face and give her a kiss. Really not
For no
hard.
reason. For no
No
reason.
reason. No
Yeah.
reason.
Those are the best. Those are literally the best things ever where I've gotten the best reaction. My daughter is now gonna watch this too. I'll come home on like a random Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock with flowers. She's like, "What are these
Yes.
for?" I'm like, "Because I saw flowers and I thought it was a good idea."
And that's the best thing that you could do for also your daughter because now your daughter won't take anything less.
Oh yeah, her future boyfriends are fucked.
That's what you want. You wanna make sure that
Yeah.
your daughter knows that she deserves the whole entire world, so every guy that doesn't treat her correctly, she's like, "Fuck you, bye."
Yeah.
Like, I know
Yeah.
that I should be treated this way. I watched my dad treat my mom like this my whole life, and that's how you're supposed to treat your wife. And then my mom also treated him just as nicely, and I know how to treat my man. Like, that's how you're supposed to do it. You can learn from your parents' mistakes as well.
Of course.
My parents are divorced, so I learned from their mistakes. But like, I don't know, like, when it comes to society, it comes to that fucking shit, I get so mad because it's like, don't judge somebody else's happiness,
Right.
okay? If you wanna be the
Especially when you
feminist,
haven't experienced it. Especially when you don't know.
correct, but you also like, there are the feminists who want the weak men. They exist. You will have that, you can find
Take
that
'em.
out there. Bye. I want someone that's gonna be like, I need the one that's gonna be like, "Danny, shut the fuck up when I'm being psychopath." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I
Yeah,
probably
you're
should
cool.
chill out for a second. My bad. My bad." I mean, it doesn't happen often, but every once in a
Right,
while
but
where
when it
I'm on it,
does.
Jason will just be like, "Danny." I'm like, "That was cute. That was hot. Okay, yell at me."
Yeah. You're right, please. I'm going crazy.
But like, I just don't like, I can't understand people that just don't. I don't know that like leave leave your relationship to you and my relationship to me. I don't want any of your advice. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Unless your
And
advice is
one
telling me to just love my husband, like, good. I don't have a husband, but unless your advice is telling me to just love my boyfriend, then I don't listen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And mind your own fucking business.
But that's like, I'm in a healthy relationship. So like, That's easy. Like people that aren't in healthy relationships, sorry,
It's always the people that are in the worst relationships trying to
giving the
give the
advice.
good, giving the advice always. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, why?
Correct. 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 I'm sorry. Didn't you and Timmy just have a fight yesterday? I'm good.
Yeah, aren't you sleeping on my couch right now? Like, shut up. I have my best friend in the world who I'm going skiing with. He is one of the smartest people and most well-traveled people I've ever met. He's been to every major country multiple times. He's
Jealous.
done all the things, but sometimes he starts to talk out his ass about things that he has no idea about. I'll just sit there. They're like, okay, come on, let's go, let's go. And then it's always on a topic that I know a lot about, like sales or psychology or podcasting. I'll just let him go for like 20 minutes and then put him in his place. Like, this is why I love you.
That's also that to have that set of friends, like my two best friends, we don't see eye to eye on almost like anything,
Those are the
especially
best.
like politics and stuff like that. We do like us, like we don't see eye to eye. And I love them more than anything else in this world because like we can debate healthily and like agree to like constantly agree to disagree and still be the best of friends. So like if
Yeah.
you have like that person that's always just like, well, I know this, that, and the third, and then you can turn around and be like, well, here's the facts, here's the statistics, and here's how you're wrong. And then they're like, fuck you, let's go get a drink. Those are
Yeah.
the best friends. Those are the best friends. Like my brother and his friend, like when I say two polar opposites of the spectrum, and I would watch them sit at a bar and just argue to a point where I feel like they're gonna punch each other in the face. And then they just get up, hug each other, like, love you, see you next time.
Yeah.
Every time. Those are
They're
the best friends.
best. Yeah, 100%
Because
agree.
they get you out of like your own world and they make you see a different perspective. Even if you don't agree with the different perspective, you can now at least understand it. Instead of just
Yeah.
being like, certain people will just be like, no, fuck these people, fuck this, I don't agree. Like, you have to agree with me or we can't be friends. You sound like a sad person. Sound like a sad person because you don't even
Yeah.
like give them the chance to tell you like, this is why I believe it. Because like my friends will tell me, I'm like, I don't get it. Why do you believe that? They're like, this is why. And I go, okay, well, I don't, but like, I now understand why you do. If that made any sense.
Yeah, I now understand your flawed logic. I hear you.
Yes. I'm going to sit over here with mine.
Yeah, I'm going to sit over here with mine, but I'm glad that we can disagree. My best friend in the world, we grew up total polar opposite. Super rich, wealthy. He was both parents, multiple brothers, huge property, like the whole thing. I grew up single mom, no siblings, poor as fuck. And the only reason why I thought we became friends in the first place is I thought in our school that he was also another poor kid because the way he dressed. And come to find out, very wrong. One of the most wealthy kids, but like his views on things and his family's views on things are so polar opposite than mine. But why we can connect is like he kind of rejects what his family thinks and believes because they're kind of assholes about it sometimes. And he's kind of learned that the world is different now and that you can't really talk to people like that and you can't go around thinking these certain ways and putting people down like that. And now that, he's single, but I'm married and got the house and the dogs and all that thing, he's looking at me, he's like, how did you fucking figure all this out with none of the things? I'm like, I think it's just like this, man. And we're always have this cool perspectives different on it, and you need friends like that. You need to disagree with people on a regular basis.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Just yes. Like if I'm not if you're just gonna sit here and yes me to death, I'm
Yeah.
bored. I'm
Yeah.
bored. I'm bored.
I agree.
And like I understand having a simple conversation in like a public eye and stuff like that, obviously. But like if you're gonna get to know me on a deep level and be in my life, if you're gonna always agree with me, no. I need you to tell me to
challenge it, right?
yeah, like well, it's a disease of my family where we think we're right about everything and we're not. And like I'll even get to
that.
yeah,
I'll send it to your boyfriend.
he'll agree with it in every message because he gets annoyed. He's just like, you're not right. And I'm like, yes, I am. And he's like, no, you're not. I'm like, no, I am. And I'll know that I'm wrong. That's the worst part, is I'll know I'm wrong, but I need to die on the hill. I'm going to die on this hill. I'm right. And I'm not at all. Like, how could I gaslight you to make you sick? And he's like, you can't. It's like, I know you're wrong. And here's the evidence. I'm like, I'm right. It is a disease. I will, and I own it. I own it, but I also like don't, because I still do it. Like, I know I do it, but I still do it.
And die on that hill. Die on that pitcher's mound.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I haven't picked your brain about yet that I'm really curious about is, so your candle business. You're really creative, obviously. You don't want to do the sales, the marketing, any of that. You just want to be creative with it. How did you get into making candles? Like, why candles?
Because of witchcraft, honestly. I always liked lighting candles for my witchy stuff. And I was like, I can just make these. Why don't I just make them? And that's kind of how it started. It was just because I was making candles for like certain aspects. Like if I wanted like a money spell or something like that, I would just put the herbs together with a candle and light it on fire, and I would just make that candle. So it started out like that. And then my boyfriend was just like, I want to try something. And I was like, all right, cool. He's like, well, you make the candles. And like, he wanted to do it. And then he's like, I fucking hate entrepreneurship. I'm not doing this. And I was like, totally understand. And then now
Not
my
for
friend,
everyone.
no, it's not for the faint of heart either. Like it's not easy. And I mean, he really likes what he's doing now, but basically we figured out the formula. I found a company. I don't make my own scents. I'm not a chemist. We found a company that tests all of their scents, that makes sure that the fragrance isn't toxic, doesn't have parabens or carcinogens or any of that crap in there that will, cause headaches, cancer, all of that toxicity. And and I basically just order from them, because if you go to any other site, they don't, they'll have, like, you have to have this California Prop 65 or something like that on label on it. And I'm like, that means it's toxic. That means it. So I found this company and I went, okay, cool. Well, how much scent can I put in a candle until like it's too much or it's a problem? And I figured out that formula, and now like my whole house smells like a candle, and I don't even light it. Like, I just open the lid and like the whole house will smell like it. And I don't have to light it until maybe a week or two, and then I can finally light it, and then we'll get to the next layer. Because the reason why you want to have your candles covered, fun fact, is because the air will kind of just like evaporate the scent out of the top of the candle. Like, it'll stay into the bottom, but the top layer will take it away. So like, if you can't smell a candle when you smell it, like, don't buy the fucking candle. It's not it's not worth it. Or if you buy one that doesn't have a lid on it, the reason why you can't smell it is because there's no lid on it, or they just also don't scent it properly enough. So I was getting tired of, one, getting headaches from candles, two, not being able to smell them. Like, I just bought this pumpkin spice bullshit and I don't even fucking smell it. What is this crap? And I was like, I'm gonna make a formula to make sure that you will always smell it. You're not gonna go like, if you don't smell it, it's just because you've gone nose blind to it, but it fucking smells in your house. And I put the two together, and that's kind of how it happened. I don't know. I started rambling there. Sorry.
No, you figure something out and you just go for it. It's so, if anybody takes away anything from listening to this podcast, it's that like all your crazy ideas are great and you just gotta go figure it out. Which is like ultimately my message to everybody is like, whatever you want to do. You want to make candles? Great. You want to write a book? Great. You want to learn to read? Great. Go do it.
Go do it. Just like, fucking, what's his name? Oh my God. Even Stevens. What the fuck is this? No, it's not Even Stevens. What's his name? Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. Yeah.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah, 100% though. And like, you are that in every level. You've done everything to the best of your ability, and I fully believe that your podcast is going to come back and that you're going to end up as some sort of reporter or do something for the Yankees because it just makes sense.
I'm in the middle of my second edit right now of a baseball romance book. So I think that if I'm gonna do
Yeah.
anything, it's probably I like doing interviews. I like doing this. Like it's a lot of fun, but I like being creative more and like being in my own little world, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. And I've
Yeah, it
found
does.
that love in writing because, like, again, my ADHD will take me three different places. I'm like, I'm making candles, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And this is why I've done 30,000 things in my short time of life. Um, but I've come to like this realization with reading and writing is that there's a new adventure every time you pick up a book. There's a new adventure every time you put your pen to paper. And I don't have to keep searching for something new to do. I can continue to do just this, but there's still a new adventure. So it's not stale. It's not the same. Like with the baseball podcast, like I am stuck. Only Yankees podcasting, only baseball, only this. And it gets boring after a while. And after getting eaten alive on the internet once in my first cancellation, or second, I don't know. It might have been my third. But it kind of ruined the whole podcast because I actually got people like telling me that I had Down syndrome. I had people telling me to go kill myself. And I was like, it's not
Jesus.
fun anymore when that happens. Like, I don't mind men telling me to get back in the kitchen and to, stop being a part of baseball. No woman needs to be. That stuff does not bother me. And I actually love when men do that because I will just report right back and just be like, did you not get your dick sucked last night? I'm so sorry. Like, do
Yeah.
you need help? Like, oh, did you not get your dick sucked because it's like microscopic and nobody can find it? Like, I'll just come back at you because like
Yeah.
you have to have the smallest boy, tiniest penis energy who be telling a woman to get back in the kitchen and not enjoy baseball. Like, fuck off. So
Right.
I loved when I would get that, but when I started getting like really mean death, like nasty shit getting sent my way, that wasn't just get out of baseball and get in the kitchen. It got to me in a way where I was like, this isn't fun anymore. Like it was fun when it's yeah, it's fun when it's this, but it's not fun when it's this. And I have somebody in my family that's very well known and I see what she goes through a lot and she gets those like daily. She gets that shit daily. She gets people trying to kill her, like actually like people who put like her address out on the world trying to get people to go kidnap her and stuff like that. Like, so she deals with crazy stalkers, crazy shit. And I was like, no, thank you. When I got that first couple, I was like, I don't like this anymore. I loved making the content until that happened. So I don't think I would actually go back to doing that, but I think I would stick to maybe like again, writing a baseball romance or writing something where it's a fake story and it's not real. So like my baseball romance, like things in there where a real baseball fan will be like, Dani, and I'll be like, I know, but like it's a fucking book. It's not a big deal. Okay. Like we don't need to be to the pin of baseball. It's not that crazy. And I don't know. I don't see myself going back and doing it, but if I did, it would just be me with somebody else and I wouldn't be the host. Like I don't think I want to be the face of it anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No,
Which is weird for me to say.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, I feel the same way about getting back into the music industry. Like I would do it for fun. Maybe like if I were to post mixes or put out something, it'd be completely faceless where I wouldn't have anything to do with it. But yeah, I had some pretty horrible things happen, just very similar to your story. I was like, that just kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah.
And it's not worth what I went through to do it again.
No, it's if it takes the joy out of it, like, does it bring you joy? There's a reason why that you asked that question and why that question was asked. It's because if it's not doing it, why the fuck are you doing it?
Right. And I could still get joy from it, but not on that. Not
That level. Yeah. Like I can just sit on my couch and watch baseball and enjoy myself. I don't have to fucking go and tell the internet what I think about it and get scrutinized and get berated over it. Like I'm good. We're done.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Well, hey, that's like all I got. I'm so happy that you are way cooler. Just as cool as your Instagram makes you to be.
I am the same person. Like, I am authentic to a fault. Like if you see what you see is what you get.
which is, I mean, especially you're the first like total stranger I've had on my show, on this show. I used to do that all the time. And sometimes, a lot of the time, you get somebody on there that like doesn't want to talk, that is completely polar opposite than their pages. I'm like, oh, I got to end this like real early. Yeah, I'm going to say some shit that's not going to go over well. But yeah, you have been
I
great.
understand.
Something I ask everybody on here, since we're in a really weird time in our world right now, what is one piece of advice that you could give to somebody trying to navigate 2025?
That we
Or on
aren't in
anything.
like that. I would say that we aren't in a weird time at all. There is a weird time in every point of history. If just go read a fucking textbook, like it's not. Um, don't take yourself so seriously. Don't take the world so seriously. Go enjoy yourself and relax. Relax. That would be my piece of advice. Just because when I hear people say like, "Oh, we're in this whirlwind," I'm like, do you know what World War II was like? That sounds like that sucked. Okay. I know that we almost hit 3, but like that didn't sound so great. So I mean, it's always crappy out there. You just have to find the good. And if you
Yeah.
constantly look for the bad, you're only going to find the bad.
Yeah. 100% agree. 100% agree. Put your phone down, go outside. The world is great.
Yeah, it's fine. It's really, but touch some grass.
Yeah. Yes, please. I'm naming the episode Touch Some Grass. That's it. It's happening. Well, Dani, I really appreciate you coming on, taking your time. When your book is done, or when you get close to done, please come back. I would love a
I would
copy
love
of it.
to.
And we'll absolutely share it out to everybody. We'd love
I
to support
appreciate
you in any way.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
definitely, I'm down to come back on. Of course, you were great. I would like to say, because I've been on podcasts before where somebody like hosts and I feel like I'm hosting for them. And I'm going, why? Like, ask a question. But you were really, like, you were great because, like, it was an easy flowing conversation. So you're doing something right.
Thank you. I'm genuinely curious about the people that I bring on. Like, I don't have a booking agent or anything like that. Like, I find people on Instagram that I think are cool, I try to chat with them, and then I invite them on the show. And like, I do 5 minutes of prep beforehand. I read your bio, reread it, look through your Instagram. I'm like, okay, I know, I want to talk to this person. This person seems cool as shit. And if you're not, I'll find out why you're not cool as shit.
I'll figure out 3 seconds into this conversation that you kind of suck and I made a mistake.
Yeah. Been there, done that. People listening, you know who you are. Well, anyway, guys, you know where to find us. Podcast will be out on Monday morning. Thanks for listening, everybody. Run the show, enemies never know